morning, everybody. I toast to you and all you do. I hope you're having an amazing morning. I am out in my garden, and I finally have some quiet time, so I wanted to take a minute and let's talk about breathing. Just take a deep breath with me, everybody. It's so good for you. Breathing is one of the most basic of magical practices, and yet sometimes I think it gets kind of overlooked or neglected. We kind of get set in one breathing routine or one thing that works, and we kind of just go with that. Or sometimes we only do it in specific times and whatnot. It's not one of those aspects of magic that's like, oh, let's talk about this because it's so exciting. But it's so important, and it can make such a big change not only in your practice but in your daily life. One of the things that breath is life, I guess. Not one of the things. It is. Breath is life. Breath is the beginning, the first thing that we do when we come into this world. Before we open our eyes, before we do anything else, is that we take that first breath. New parents that's the thing that you hear for, is that first breath followed by that loud cry. And it's amazing. Like, that's a beautiful moment. That's a moment as a parent. You're like, oh, I heard my baby take their first breath. This is the moment of life. This is the moment of existence in this space. And we continue breathing for the rest of the living time. And there's just so much science behind this and not just magic. And that's why it's like, oh, my brain just kind of goes so scattered all over the place. So focus. So I took notes. It's always funny. Okay, so breath is life. Breath is the connection. We talk about how water has been in at least 3 other living people or organ or whatever before it became part of you, or before you drank it in a cup. Each breath that you take in has been in thousands of other organisms, animals, plants, people, the dirt, it's everywhere, It's part of the clouds, the wind. It just travels everywhere. And it's a way that we connect with others. The element itself is a connecting, communicating, joining energy. We call it the connector. And I don't know, I just, like, when we talk about magic, it's one of those elements that I think, just like the breath, it's so important and it's such a big part of magic. And yet, just like we can't see it, we don't talk about it. We can see the fire, so people talk a lot about fire. We can see the earth, so people talk a lot about earth. We can see the water, and people talk a lot about water. We can only feel the air, and we don't really talk about it. And yet it's something that we experience unlike any of the other elements, because you're constantly exchanging air. Even when we hold our breath, our cells are exchanging air. So you're constantly exchanging that. You're constantly connecting with that. It's constantly flowing through you, around you, everywhere. And I think that's why it's easy to overlook or neglect or not put conscious thought into it, because our brain does it all by itself. We don't have to think about breathing. It just happens. Right now I'm sitting out in the breeze, and a nice breeze comes through. But most of the time, unless you're looking for that breeze, you don't really think about it. We think about the wind as like, oh, it's windy outside. And it's taken me probably 15 years to get to that point where I actually like the wind outside. It's, to me, a reminder of change and connection. And feeling the wind in my hair is one of those witchy moments that really makes me feel connected to the elements and just my practice and everything. And then just made my head itch thinking about it. My husband came home with a tick the other day, so now I'm like, oh, creepy crawlies everywhere. But it's fine, it was just one tick. I was like super itchy. Anyways, so, breath and air and all of this is connected. And then we take it this step further and we start breathing for purpose. So one of the first things that kind of pops up when you start talking about breath for purpose is mindful breathing. Some people call it yoga breathing, meditative breathing. There are lots of different ways, but it's all kind of the same. It's the deep, controlled breath. And so this is breathing for mindfulness. So normally you go in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, release, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, and you repeat this. If you can't do a breath of 4, then you start at 3 or whatever is your comfortable breathing rate. You want to kind of challenge yourself. You want to extend it to at least 4. If you start with 3, whatever it may be, maybe even go to 5. But you're taking these deep breaths, holding that air in and releasing it, and then being present without that air, and then taking it back in, and really focusing on that breathing. Now, this can be done throughout the day. It's a great stress reliever. It can be done when you're stressed out, like anxious or anxiety. It can help to relieve a lot of the anxiety. And it can also help you focus. It can help you transition. It can help to get into a meditative state. It can help when you're grounding. These are all, most of those focus, grounding, all of those, when you're doing yoga, when you're doing meditation, all of those things, most of them start out by saying, focus on your breath. Take a controlled breath in, releasing it. And what we mean by controlled is steady. You don't want to be and have a short breath and a long breath and then hold your breath and then do this and that. The purpose is to create a consistent rhythm. Whatever is your comfort. In, hold, out, hold. So you're focusing. In my brain, I'd say 1, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4. And I do that every time. I've been doing it for almost 20 years now. And I still do that same thing because it helps me to bring that focus. It gives me that. And then I'll start focusing on my heartbeat, which when you start counting like that and you're focusing like that, then your heartbeat will 1, 2, 3, 4, even slows down 1, 2, 3, and you start to listen to your heartbeat and you just breathe in with that and focus. And it changes things in your body and in your brain. It helps you to release good endorphins. It helps you to lower your, scientifically proven, not through anecdotal records, but through actual scientific method research shows that this kind of mindful breathing can lower stress, depression, anxiety, heart rate, blood pressure, even diabetic symptoms. Because it helps you to circulate your blood through. It helps you to have that turnover rate in your cellular system. Because just like I said, even when we're holding our breath, your cells are turning over oxygen. Now, when you're providing oxygen at this very constant fluid rate, your body says, oh, it must be time to reset. So it helps to reset your nervous system, your immune system, your respiratory system, your blood, your lymph system. Everything kind of gets this little reset. And it's like holding the power off for 10 seconds. When you turn off your power, it says unplug it for 10 seconds and then plug it back in. It's kind of like that reset, that kind of mindful breathing. It can also be used for pain relief. I was getting my tattoo the other day. I was definitely doing some mindful breathing, bring in some happy hormones here because I'm good for the first time, and then they start going over where they already tattooed. I was getting some shading work down, and I was like, okay, I think it's good enough shading. Anyways, Again, it helps to release good endorphins into your body, like happy hormones, norepinephrine, the things that make it better, and flushing out the cortisol, flushing out the hormones that actually do more damage. Um, it can also teach your body to respond to stress in a healthy manner. A lot of times when we have anxiety or we have these other issues, we've, through conditioning, trained our body to hyperventilate or to breathe sporadically or just not be in a good rhythm. And so you've conditioned that through time and practice because that's how you've responded. So if we start doing these mindful breathing practices, it can help you to change that and transition from that sporadic breathing to, oh, okay, wait, no, stop. In, out, in, out. Ringing a bell. Ding, and as that rings, you breathe in, ding, and then you do the next step, ding, and then the next step, ding, and that can also help. Drumming, you can breathe to the drum just to help you get into a rhythm. Whatever it is that helps you get in that rhythm, then do that, because it's your rhythm. Amy was talking about it right now, like my body is like, oh, we're gonna do a breathing. So I'm going into that deeper, more steady breath, and then you go again. So, yeah, and so as you practice this and you breathe in this silence and you relax and you, ooh, bugs. Look, I was sitting on a seashell. It was hurting me. Anyways. Okay, so mindful breathing can help you train your body to respond more effectively. It can help you to reset. It can help you slow down. So when it comes to mindful breathing, I challenge everyone to go out and find at least 1 or 2 times throughout the day where you can just stop and do this for 1 minute, for 4 rounds, whatever feels good to you. Just stop for a second. Are you doing it with me? Just try to do it with me. It's really easy. Ready? In, hold, and release. Hold, in, just feel your body relax. It's amazing. It adjusted my whole perception of light. Now I can see myself on the camera even, which is funny because I closed my eyes adjusted. Anyways, so, do this 1 or 2 times a day. Find little times throughout the day to just take a couple deep breaths like this. While I was doing that, it came to my brain, when we say release your breath, you're never going to release your breath all the way. The goal is to not like get it all. I don't think it's physically possible to like release your entire breath. Robin just landed like right there. He still has his mohawk from last year. He says, don't talk about me. He flew away. Anyways. So, you're never going to release that whole breath. That is not the intent. The intent is to relax and let out what comes out, and then pause, and then take a next breath in. Don't try to like force yourself to like expel every breath in you. I know that there are some breathing techniques that are like that, but that's not mindful breathing. That's a different breathing technique. That's like extreme breathing. I don't even know what it would be called. So, so that's mindful breathing. Breathing in silence. So breathing in silence can be more challenging than most people find. I was listening to, I'm going to end up talking about this guy a lot because I've been following him more recently, but he's a Hindu guru. I find him funny. He's very like, anyways, he's just like, this is how it is, and I don't care if you don't like it. And I just enjoy those kind of people. Anyways, when he challenges people to be in silence and to just breathe in silence, he says most people can make it a short period of time. After an afternoon of silence, they start to go a little stir crazy. Most people can't make it a full day, let alone like a week. You know, he says in order to be a true monk, you have to go like months of silence. And to be in silence is a really hard task for most people, especially in our modern society. Oh, there's a mosquito. Especially in our modern society where we are talking and chattering and there is so much going on all the time. To just be in silence is challenging. So practicing breathing in silence can be a great way to build up that tolerance and build up that ability. We cannot hear when we're talking. I was going to say something more like profound than that, but I was like, if you're talking, then you're not listening. And when we're doing spiritual work, we can find it uncomfortable in the silence because we don't know what to expect and we're like anticipating something. But if we just practice mindful breathing in silence, it can help you become comfortable with that silence, ready for that download, ready for that information to come to you, ready for whatever it may be that's, ready for you, be it a visualization or a meditation or sound or however you're receiving your message. If you're so busy chattering or trying to make some noise to focus on or so intent on listening to the drums because you can't sit in that silence, it's really hard to get that information. And once you find you can sit in silence, you find that tarot readings or oracle readings or any kind of divination really become more accurate, they become easier because that you can be comfortable in that silence, and that's okay. And then the next challenge after that silence is to be able to be silent in a room with another person where you're both silent. Think about it. When is the last time you sat in the room with someone and you were both silent? Now, if you've been married for a long time, okay, that's different. You are that comfortable with that person, but now go sit in a room with somebody else and just be silent. Many people find it super challenging. And I don't even remember who said it to me. I was very young in my practice, and it was someone who was wiser, and they said, now I can't remember their exact words, but really how it resonated with me is that those who speak all the time because they are not comfortable in the silence are showing their weakness. They're showing their stupidity. They're showing their lack of wisdom because they have to keep talking. And it's funny, when I was watching the Hindu guru, he says the same thing. He says, because we're always looking to put modern words and meaning and these insight into our spiritual practice, that doesn't show how wise you are, it shows how stupid you are. The tree does not speak English or Hindu or Japanese or Spanish or any of those things. The tree, the energy of the earth, the universe, speak a cosmic language of vibrational sounds. We're going to get into those later, and if we can't be silent to pick up those vibrational sounds and to hear those messages, then we're not going to be able to get them and receive them or become one with them or meditate with them. All of those kind of things take sitting in that silence. So mindful breathing is really helpful in that. So I challenge you, once a day, stop mindful breathing. Even if it's only for a few minutes, just relax and take those few breaths and then bring that up to more and more and more often. Maybe set a time during the week where you sit and you mindfully breathe until you are just so relaxed. Maybe you fall asleep. That just means you need sleep. Don't stress about that. It's okay. That's your body saying, hey, it's time to reset, go to sleep. We need this. And that's okay. Sometimes I find when I do that and then I fall asleep, I have really good prophetic dreams or, dreams that help me understand something. My spirit guides will come to me during those dreams, things like that. So, mindful breathing. Yes. So, let's see. All right. We'll see if we can get 2 done in 10 minutes. So the next kind of breathing that we have is breathing to change your state of consciousness and your overall state of being. Now, yes, mindful breathing does that. It just does it in a different way than what I'm going to talk about next. So I've talked about Wim Hof before. He's like my modern guru. And I think the reason that he really sold me on his whole everything is because he's not scared of modern medicine, and he has let them hook him up to tests, and he's done all of these things, and he's very open and honest about his whole situation and about why he started and what he's doing and why it's important, and he lets the doctors study him. And he doesn't have a harem of followers who like live in his house and do his beck and call. His goal is really just to help people. So after his wife committed suicide when his children were little, many moons ago, he had to find a solution. His wife had been on medications. They had tried and it just didn't work out. And in that dark moment for him, he was like, something has to change. So he started focusing on bettering himself through breathing and yoga and cold exposure. Now, this first part of his technique is the cold exposure. He says you should take cold showers. He says that he believes that we have desensitized ourselves to positive stress because we have created such a cushy world where we have all of these modern conveniences that make us soft, that make us, that's really the best word I have for it. They make you soft. And in turn, that makes you unhealthy because now we're not putting our body under these healthy natural stresses that we're supposed to be under, that help to exercise your cardiovascular system, that help to turn on good endorphins, that help you to be strong and healthy. So that's where the cold exposure comes in. By exposing yourself to cold, you're putting yourself into these positive stress situations to help activate your capillaries and your nervous system and all of these things that aren't activated enough. But that's not what we're talking about today. That's just part of it. The other big part of it is breathing. Now, his breathing technique, when I first heard about it, honestly, I was like, this isn't real. This is not good for you. This is bad. I was taught as a small child, hyperventilating is really bad for you. And so when I saw this guy who was like, oh, I hyperventilate on purpose, and it's really good for you, I was like, nope, that goes against everything I ever learned. And then I started learning more, and then I watched, he's a YouTube doctor who typically does like quackery research. Like he finds doctors who are like, I can cure you, and then he shows how they're wrong. And that's his whole thing. And so he was doing this with Wim Hof, and he was very skeptical in the beginning, just like he is with all of his videos. He's like, this isn't real. Anybody who says that they can cure multiple diseases with one technique that's not medically sound is not real. So, and then you look at all of the studies and the research, and actually what it does show is that through his method of breathing, you put your body into a I have it written down. Hold on. It just like fluttered out of my brain. Hypoxic, hypoxic state, and then a hyperpoxia state. So that's too much oxygen and then not enough oxygen. And so you do this by taking 30 to 40 deep breaths in and out without stopping, not like we were just talking about, like this. Even deeper than that. I'd have to like lay down. He talks about taking belly breaths and making sure that you're expanding your belly all of the way so that the air is reaching the bottom of your lungs and you are really getting in as much oxygen as you can take in. And doing this for 30 to 40 deep breaths, and then you let it go and you don't breathe for a minute to 2 minutes, even 3 minutes once you get really good at it. I can make it to a minute and a half. I could maybe do 2 minutes if I practiced. Like on the third round, I could probably do it. And you do this for 3 rounds. Like I said, was super skeptical at first. I was like, oh, this isn't real. Like, this can't be. And then I watched the research, and now I've been doing it for over a year, and I can say that it is a transformational breathing exercise. So magically and spiritually and in your brain, what you're doing is, again, you're focusing on your breathing, you're changing your state of consciousness, you are being present in the moment. So it's achieving those mindful breathing things while simultaneously, because you're hyperventilating and you're putting yourself into the state of hyperpoxia where you have so much oxygen available in your brain, and you're then when you let it go and you don't breathe for a minute, you're putting your brain into a state of hypopoxia, so it doesn't have any oxygen. And what it actually does is it puts your body into this new state of existence, I guess. It makes your blood more alkaline. It turns on your immune system. It releases norepinephrine. It releases other good, positive stress hormones. And by being in this more alkaline state, it changes your brain's need for oxygen. It changes your blood. Like, it does a bunch of things on a cellular level. Like, one of the studies that Wim Hof let people do is he injected himself with Ebola, and then he did his breathing exercise to show that through these breathing techniques, he could heal himself of this virus. No crap. I'm not joking. Like, not a whatever. He went to the hospital. He said, inject me with Ebola. I'm going to do this. And they did. And he survived. And he healed, and he didn't need any antibiotics, and he didn't do all of the things. He just did his breathing exercises. And so it triggers all of these really good things in your body. And then it also triggers all of these crazy things in your brain because you're going into these altered states. So you can get into these deep, deep meditations, and it's amazing. Now, I don't do it every day. He recommends doing it every day. I tried doing it every day, and there was so much serotonin. Oh, that's the other thing. It releases a bunch of serotonin in your brain. And so there was so much serotonin in my brain. And being bipolar and having like weird levels of serotonin naturally, like, it put me in this weird, like, I don't even know how to describe it. If you're not familiar with serotonin overload, then you don't. But if you know what that is, then that's what it was. Like, I just was on this like serotonin overload. It was very fluttery. I felt very flighty. It was like a weird state. I was like, that's too much. Let's back it down. I do it twice a week. It really does help me stay grounded. It helps me to reset. You want to do it on an empty stomach and other things of that nature. So it's pretty amazing. And then I don't think I'm going to have enough time. 28. Well, mantras will be kind of fast. So that's the Wim Hof. I will try to leave a link in the description, but if you search Wim Hof breathing technique, there's a great YouTube video. It's 11 minutes. It doesn't take a long time. It's not something that's like hard to add to your practice or daily life. You can find twice a week, you can find time to do this. I have found it very, very effective before I go into, like, if I'm looking to do a journey or I want my spirit guides to tell me something. Like, I'm looking for information or expanding my mental temple. But it just brings on a good meditative state for vision work. So, awesome breathing technique. I definitely recommend it. Oh, something else that I didn't say about either of these breathing techniques, just that came to my brain. Both of them, when done regularly, have shown to promote weight loss. What they do is they activate your lipocytes, your fat cells, and tell them to go away, kind of like on a really simplified level. So they can help with weight loss and different things of that nature. Okay, so now the last part of the breathing exercises is breathing with sound. So this is when we're talking about mantras or using noise, making noise. This is some of the oldest healing techniques that we've ever had, and like way, way back to our great, great back ancestors. So when we make these noises, we are connecting with the vibrations of the earth. Now, back to my guru, he's super funny. I was watching him in one of his videos, and somebody stood up and said, he was taking questions. Somebody said, "Do you need to understand a mantra before you chant it?" And he said, "No, it's better for you to not understand, because only stupid modern humans try to put words and definitions on these universal energies to explain them, and that this has been done to connect." When we talk about universal energies. Oh, see, my neighbor's going to lawnmower, so we definitely have to finish up. Okay, so when we're talking about this, is what we're doing is we're connecting with a universal energy, and however we can put modern definitions on it to better help us communicate and kind of connect with that energy and understand it. They're not meant to be defined, especially not by our modern languages. I'm going to bring this closer just in case. I don't know if you're going to be able to hear me with that lawnmower going. Oh my God, go fast. Okay, now I'm panicking. So let's just go over a couple mantras that are, common. Okay, so most people know Om, and that's like connecting with the divine and the okay? It's actually spelled A-O-M or A-U-M. It's a Sanskrit thing. Anyways, so that's one that we're mostly familiar with. And you just repeat it and you say it, and they are helping you create and connect with the blueprint of creation, the vibrations of the earth, the frequencies that have created everything and that everything flows through, and all of that stuff. So they're chanted because it's a repeated energy we want to connect with. So we just keep going back with it. And they're cosmic sounds that are like the combination lock to better understand the universal energy. And so we make these noises. One of the seed mantras or bija mantras is Gam. It's G-A-M, but it's a Gam. Gam. And this is to connect with the divine and to help remove the blockages between you and your inner divine. This was a gift from the gods. This word was, this mantra, and this is a way for us to connect with the deities. The vowel sounds are ways for healing. So it doesn't matter which one, A-E-I-O-U, but the long sound, just ah, can help you heal. E, all of those sounds can help with healing. We have longer ones that are like the Ananoha. I forgot the D. I was like, that doesn't sound right. Ananodham. And this peace and bring happiness. And so, again, it's something that's repeated over and over again, and we're making these sounds in order to connect with that vibrational energy. And then I have the chakras. So, super fast. So the base chakra at your spine is Lam. Going up, it goes like this. Lam, Vam, Ram, Yam, Ham, Om, Ah. There are some great videos that show this and better pronounce it than I do, but it's pretty straightforward because we're not talking about a language. We're not talking about any of those things. Just like when we say, this is the first sound of life. When you're a baby, you make this sound. This is what connects you to the divine. This is the spirit, the connector between you, the crown, and your everything. And then we have Om, and we have Oh, the throat. Hum, because we're connecting with that hum. We have at our heart, which, oh, they do it like this. So my hand's not perfect, but your hand motions do with it. There's different ones that you do that can kind of help you better connect. But it's the noises. So breathing is a really important part of your practice, and there are lots of different ways to do it and include it. But start finding ways to practice different kind of things that can help you. So if you have any questions, don't forget to put them below and let me know. I'm always available. I'll try to make myself available. You can like and follow and subscribe. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and all over the place. And I hope you all have a fantastic day, and I will talk to you soon. Many blessings.